Okay, let's just take discussions. Let's take discussions on that Google Collab trial. Did you make any trial? Or Desmond, did you make any trial? Which of you make any trial?
Okay, good afternoon, sir. I
Yes.
was able to access the Google Collab in the cargo website. I tried to download one data set that relates to marketing. I've downloaded it. Trying to upload to the Google Collab was a bit of an issue.
Excellent.
So
So
that's where
that's part of what I want to have a review on this time. So I'm going to have a general review, but then I would like to hear efforts that each and every one of you may have made, if at all, because nobody actually shared any question or make any inquiry. So I believe everybody will be superstar. But even at that, you should have, even at that stage, you should have shared that you had a problem with how to locate your file in your Google Colab, because the destination of that file is very important. You understand where to keep it. That destination is very important, that you are familiar with the location so that you can describe the location properly.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sorry for not reaching out.
Desmond, your trial. Okay. So this is 10 minutes and we will just get going. Okay, can I hear if Desmond, you had a trial? Can you share your experience?
So I tried to do it with some data. I don't know if it was in the data. With some data I got, like it was company data, but then I couldn't do it. So I wasn't able to load the data and then do the coding.
But you should have sent some inquiry. You understand? You could have actually shared some, you could have made some, you could have actually shared some inquiry for discussion before now. But this thing is about trials. It's not about, some of these things are not theories. You understand? If you've never done it, you won't know what is there. And it's not something you just read, obviously. Some of these things are in practice. People, you just have to be doing it. And if you don't encounter the problem, you may not even know that such problems exist. That's the way these projects are. All right, so we'll just get started because we still have, we needed to just have a review on this. Okay, and permit me to just share my screen. There is a business case that I provide here for you to have at the back of your mind. I can perhaps now change it to any other thing going forward in any other class of business, but let's just share this. Okay. Let me know if you can see my screen now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, so please just look at this business case because it will always be about something that is critical to what you are trying to do. And we just had to adapt this situation that has to do with something close to a real life scenario in some places regarding certain businesses. And assuming it's your business or your invention, your vision, you know, this is actually one of the things that you can actually you may want to give insights. You want to do some research. You want to let some data speak to you or recommend, get to help you to make some informed decisions. So this is why I've just given, taking time to put this particular case for our discussion. The mentorship brief here has to do with projects. Okay, it has to do with a project on a Python mentorship, which still continues, and we try to see how we can address a project that is on a food or food line, you know, food business. So in this case, we have an organization that is managing some of this value chain by offering a solution, you know, to restaurants all around the world and all that. So, but then let's just take the detail. I'm excited to introduce to you a practical example of how Python can be used for data analysis in everyday business scenarios. You know, even for non-tech professionals, that this mentorship session aims to show you how to leverage Python in analyzing data to solve common problems faced by food delivery services. Now, by the end of the session, you will see how easy it is to make data-driven decisions, regardless of of your technical background, you know? So you just realize that you don't necessarily have to be a programmer or what have you, but then you are someone of a particular background. What you are sure of is that you are on top of your data. You are familiar with your data. You know what this data means to you. And some basic things, way of managing this data, you are very familiar with them. So is it the little mathematics? That is what you can actually do with this kind of leveraging the Google app, Google Collab that we say you carry about in your Gmail, not knowing that there are this kind of level of detailed computational power that comes along with this email address. So project overview. This project is actually a class tagged Tongue Roller Foods. You know, in this project, we will explore a data set from a fictional food aggregator company, Tongue Roller Foods. Now, this Tongue Roller is a food aggregator. That is, we look at people who are already in that business and we want to offer a technology that creates jobs. And we, of course, can also earn from it. So this is what they did. The company connects multiple restaurants to customers through a mobile app, managing orders, deliveries. Now, using data from this business, well-answered key questions that, we'll answer key questions that will help improve customer experience, such as understanding customer demand. Please take note, you know, for you to understand customer demand, you know, identifying the most popular restaurant and evaluating delivery performance. You know, sometimes that is why we're able to know whether a Mr. Big is better than a one other type of restaurant and things like that. So once you have data, all these things are, you know, are possible, provided you have a way of automating them. Now, so then we continue to say, we say that real world relevance. This project is directly applicable to several career fields, especially in our modern data-driven world. Understanding data analytics enhances decision making, increase efficiency, and boost customer satisfaction in many industries. Now, career professionals who can benefit from this project: restaurant managers, optimize restaurant operations, and make data-driven decisions to make customer demand more effectively. Logistics and supply chain managers analyze delivery times to improve supply chain efficiency and reduce delays. Business analysts, use customer and other data to identify trends, opportunities for growth, and ways to improve customer service. Marketing professionals understand customer preferences and behavior to create more effective marketing campaigns and loyalty programs. Customer service managers, and so on and so forth. So you see the role of the marketer. What matters to you are things you may want to consider in, tapping from your manipulations of the data that you so have, particularly for any business, as we have in this case. So I'll just continue, and we'll look at the context. Let me just move to the context, that the number of restaurants is increasing by the day. Lots of students and busy professionals rely on those restaurants due to their hectic lifestyles. Online food delivery service is a great option for them. It provides them with good food from their favorite restaurant. A food aggregator company in Tongola offers access to multiple restaurants through a single smartphone app. Now, the app allows the restaurant to receive a direct online order from a customer. Please, I want you to understand the problem. Now, the delivery person then uses the map to reach the restaurant and waits for the food package. Once the food package is handed over to the delivery person, he or she confirms the pickup in the app and travels to the customer's location to deliver the food. The delivery person confirms the drop-off in the app also after delivering the food package to the customer. The customer can rate the order in the app. That is maybe 1 out of 5. What would you say? How would you say that service was? Was it effective, efficient, and all that? So if they say 1 to 5, rate the performance of that order. Imagine you booked that order since morning and it's taking you several hours. I'm sure for that class of customer, you want to really rate the service as being very poor. But if they're actually responding to time, you will be able to, speak your mind, as it were. So the food aggregator earns money from collecting fixed margin of the delivery order from the restaurant. So the objective and the likes. So what are the data that we are collecting? We need the order number, we need the customer ID, we need the restaurant name, the cuisine time, cost of the order, day of the week. When was it? The day of the week. Is it a Saturday or a working day? Monday to Friday. Rating. This is when you rate, given the rating given by the customer out of 5. Food preparation time. Was it delayed? How many minutes did it take? Delivery time. So you realize that before you go to the solution, you should understand the problem. Right. So for you, in marketing, you realize that when you are actually invited as a marketer to play one role or the other, you cannot just go there and be working from the analog point of view. If you understand the details and data that points to what to the business problem, the better it is that you'll be able to solve the problem. And this is what we want to do with our Google Collab. So first is that in this class of business, there will always be data. So we'll discuss the data as we proceed. And the very first thing, as we said the last time, is that you must always start by setting up your libraries. That's the very first thing. We need to, your libraries has to be imported. In this case, we have imported NumPy as NP. We've imported the Panda, which are relevant in the course of what we want to do later. And because we want to do some charts, we have also imported the Matplotlib, the pilots, and of course the Seaborn. These two are very good and efficient charting. libraries. So having put up these libraries together, we can actually execute. Executing means we want to run. Let's see how that works. When you run that cell, it should give it a tick by the side to say that, yes, what the instruction you're asking it to do is completed. If it gives a tick by the side, you know, it's still rolling. When it finishes, it should give a tick by the side. That's it. That means these libraries are currently fully loaded or imported into memory. Gifted, did you get to this point? Unmute yourself. Gifted, did you get to this point? So that's the very first step. Are you there? Unmute yourself. Gifted? Gift, unmute yourself, please.
Sorry about that. A call just like almost took me out of the.
My question was, did you get to this point because this is even the startup of what you, if you plan to run a notebook, okay? Did you do this?
It was uploading from the cargo to this Collab that
excellent. Okay, you had the data. Okay, the data was not directly on your own side. It was on the Google platform.
Yes, sir. It was not directly on the. It was on the cargo. Then I downloaded it, but uploading it
to your to your Collab was the issue. Okay, fine. Let's do this. Now, first is that we pick the libraries and we have actually imported them at this point. As you can see, the ticks here was done in 8 seconds, which is just okay. Then we move to the next. Under this point, we say understanding the data, the structure of the data. The data in particular, we need to understand the data. Before we see the data, we need to make sure that the data has been stored on our Google Collab, on our Google Drive. So the first we do is we read our Google Drive. So the next is I click on Google Drive. And if you notice, it needs permission. This will always happen. So when it prompts you with this, it's normal. It wants you to be sure that you are permitting the access to your Google account. Okay, so you say yes, connect, and it should take you to where you can validate all those things and pick your Gmail account and ask you to continue. And once it's done, it has already been given the access and I can ask it to continue. So I to take off that way. That means there is connectivity and it's making an effort to make sure that it's properly connected to your Google Drive. So the very first thing is that you must first be connected to your Google Drive, which is what the second step has just achieved. Any question here? Dakora, any question? Okay, now the next is your data file, the file you downloaded, for instance, for you, the file you downloaded from the cargo site. Okay, now assuming the file you downloaded from the cargo is this file. Look at the name. This is the name of my own file here. My data file is called tongue roller foods _order, and is a .csv format file. It's a text file. So, and look at where I placed it. In my Google Drive, there's somewhere called my drive. So if you like, you can just keep it directly inside my drive. But then I have created a folder called Innovation Bed Africa AI. So that's a subfolder. So you should not make a mistake of where you are keeping it. Wherever the path or the destination of the file is, must be properly described here. Otherwise, you'll be getting a lot of errors here. That means that where the file is kept, the notebook from Google Colab is not seeing it in the right place, and it will be throwing a lot of errors. It will be throwing a lot of errors. Take, for instance, assuming this part, I call this Innovation Bed Africa, I created a subfolder and said Mastercard-G Group 7. Assuming instead of Group 7, I mistakenly did this. And I do not have this folder, meaning that this file can never be found in this place. So if I ask it to run, let's see what happens. A lot of errors. I'm sure you are getting something like this. Are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm trying to try what you're doing right now.
Yes. Yes. So your path must be accurate. The path must be accurate. Because the path is not right, you'll be getting error, file not found error. And it shows the path as it were, and that means that this path is not available. So if I correct it by putting the right name, GRP7, and the name of the file, I leave it the way it is. So I ask it to execute again. I click on the same run. This thing means run the cell. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
It means it has located the file, and upon locating the file, it is already fetching and displaying the data because I said the data frame.head. Head means show me the topmost 5 rows of that data file. Even if I have 1,000,000 lines, show me the topmost 5 rows. That's what the .head means. And as you can see, that file has order number, has customer ID, has restaurant name, has cuisine type, has cost of the order, has day of the week, has rating, where the customer has rated, or not given, where the customer refused or failed to rate. So in your data, you have people who rated and you have people who did not rate. And we said when they were to rate, we are saying give that experience 1 out of 5. If it was very good, say 5.5. If it was close to being excellent, maybe 4 or 3. Or very poor, you say 1 or 2. Then food preparation time, delivery time. So look at the time it took for the restaurant, each of the restaurant, to prepare the order you made. Look at the time it took for the delivery person to deliver. So all this put together, what informs what should be your satisfaction. Right. So in the course of work, if you begin to see data that is pointing to the fact that these people are not doing well, or maybe some restaurants are doing better than others, you can actually be able to judge and say why some restaurants are selling better than others because of efficiency in service. So we continue. Observations. Look at this. Now, the column says the data frame has 9 columns. If you look at it, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 columns. And if you look at it from the problem description, here are the issues. We mentioned them all above, right in the data dictionary. So, and all that will be party to the data that you are using. So look how simple it is for us to read our file at this point. And from this point, you can now begin to do very interesting things thereafter. Now, question 1 here says, how many rows and columns are present in the data? How do you know that? If you put your DF, remember, What is DF? DF is the data frame where what you read was stored into it. DF means DF equals to PD.read this means that read the whole of that file and we should be able to get what you read from the DF here, which is the data frame. So that data frame, the first question says, can you tell us how many columns and rows it has? For you to get that, there's a function here that says df.shape. It will give you total number of rows and the number of columns. Dakora, please, can you ask any question? Any problem here? Understanding this? Any question at this point?
Yeah, I'm trying to do what you're doing.
Okay.
To see if
this video, of course, will be available, and this particular case,
okay,
I will download this particular case and send to you because, like I told you,
okay,
you just must be. I'll give you this notebook. If I give you this notebook, it will behave the same way, especially if you have located it in your Google Drive and you're able to change because when you get this file now onto your own environment, are you with me? You know your path will never be the same as mine. Do you agree with that, Gift?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Aha. So what is also important is for you to get the right path. As you can do very little simple problems, you can actually handle very complex problems. Let's see who else has joined us. Okay, we have Faithful. Okay. Faithful, are you there? Please, let's unmute because it has to be interactive. We are just reviewing a past situation. We are reviewing a past situation. It's not a major lecture, and we just need to get that drift. Otherwise, you can be so confused because then there's no big deal about it. Yeah, Faith, you can unmute. Let me know whether you did this. Is Faith there? You are muted. Okay. So that we can make progress. Now, this will give you the total number. That when you say the data frame dot shape, it will give you this. And look at that. Okay, I do not. Okay, we run this. Let's run this. So when you run, it makes an attempt to always throw the result out. Then the next is, so if they ask you how many rows and columns does it have, the answer is this, because that is what you must do to get that. Then the next question says, what are the data types of the different columns in the data set? That DF is the data set. The data that we have is the data set. So we will now want to know what type of data do we have. Remember, our data can be integer. You understand? It can be float type or decimal decimal data, or there are also some that we call objects. You know, objects being, in this case, a restaurant name is maybe a string or something, you know. Integer is those ones without fractional parts, where you have float. Float being those ones or those set of data that has fractional parts, or you say decimal, but here is called float. Okay. Then checking for missing values. Sometimes we have data that we have collected, and this data, it may not be all the rows that have complete data. There might be instances when along one row or one column, some sets of data are missing. You can check for it. So in the notebook, there is something you can do to check. when you have hash checking for mission, checking missing values, this hash before the text means that this line is just a remark, it's just a comment. But the one without it, which is this, is the one that you can execute in a cell. So when I click on this cell, what I'm executing is the isNull.sum. The df.isNull.sum is just a formula that checks for whether there is any column or row that has missing items. And if you can see the result here, 000 means there are no missing items. Because if you have such data with a lot of missing items, it could affect your results. So there is always a way to give some treatment to that. That is some future and more complex ways of we can actually treat and manage, manipulate missing items and all that. So in this observation, based on what we've just used there, we realize that there are no missing values. So it means that the data is looking clean. Then we have another question that wants to ask more questions on the data. It says, check the statistical summary of the data. What is the minimum? What is the average? And what is the average time it takes for food to be prepared once an order is placed? And do you know one thing? If you have an idea of doing all these things, each step of the way, you are earning marks. If it were an examination, so that data frame.describe would give you statistical report of all your data. You see the counts, you see the mean, which is similar to your average, standard deviation, your minimum, your 25% percentile, the 50%, the 75%, and maximum. So you have all this across all this data. And sometimes when statisticians or people who know data very well look at these things, it speaks volume. So when you say a data frame.describe, it is to show you a statistical overview of the entire data. If you have a billion set of data, you won't get more than this, and it will summarize everything for you to see. Then we progress, right? Observations. These are the summaries of what it has shown here. It says that the order ID and customer ID are just identifiers for each order. Then the one says the cost of an order ranges. The cost of an order ranges from 4.47 either in naira or dollars to $35.41, with an average cost order costing around $16 and standard deviation of 7.5. So they will understand that this is the output. I can now use this output to make some comments, to make some recommendations, say to the company that may have hired you to do this consultancy. This is sheer consultancy that people make a lot of money on people's data, on corporate data, So look at that. How many orders are not rated? So you see, some people said 5, some said 4, some said 3, and some didn't even rate. About 736 people did not rate. In fact, to some people, they are just hungry. They want to take the food and eat. Whether the thing took a long time or not, and what have you, they don't want to contribute to that process of you wanting to know whether the service was good or not. The bottom line is that they were just hungry. So, and that is what is reflected here. But for those who actually rated, you can see that 588 people rated the entire service of that food person. They rated them as, in fact, best, excellent. About 300, about 4, and maybe just 188 that may have been slightly disappointed. But even at that, they still gave them above average. And there were no ones that were too bad or bad experiences wasn't observed. So, and you see, at this point, you are still trying to know your data. And after you know your data so well, the next is for you to subject your data into what is called the exploratory data and analysis, which is the EDA. The exploratory data analysis is the area where you now begin to manipulate your data and begin to generate information based on what you have. Okay, that is, you do your data checking. Are there null things? Are there these? Okay, checking here at this point. You run, check for unique order IDs. And all this will generate all that for you. Then look at this. Check for unique restaurant names. You know, and in this case, you realize that, like, I had drawn all these ones down. So there are many restaurants involved. There's Shake Shack, there's the Meatball Shop, the Blue Ribbon Sushi, the Blue Ribbon Fried Chicken, the Farm, the Palm, and each of these places, each of them, like, what they were trying to get at this point is that how many are they? You know, so in terms of orders per all these people. So at the end of the day, we say that the restaurant that has received maximum number of orders is the Shake Shack. Look at that. If Shake Shack has the maximum number of orders, what could be responsible for their sale? Gift, what do you think could be responsible for their sale? Hello, Gift.
I think they are efficiency.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. No. The same platform, the same resources. But you realize that some people are doing well, better than others, maybe because of the experience of the past or what even this system is reporting to the public. You'll be able to know those who are more efficient than the others. And these are real life cases. And I'm saying that your Google Collab is like a laptop additional to your emails facility. And don't forget, the machine processing this is not even local to you. You can use one small, cheap, whatever system. It's just that because of what it is, it may not be very convenient for you to sometimes run notebooks. Maybe some phones does. But some laptops, on laptop, that even the laptop you use doesn't have to be one high-end laptop. But guess what? You are guaranteed that the computer processing these are heavy systems from the cloud. And you're enjoying the benefit of this. You know? So look at this. You can do more. This is still under the exploratory data analysis, ADA. So check the unique cuisines and all that. You see, observations. There are 14 unique cuisines, Korean, Japanese. They're based on the data. You can update your data. Look at, that was why we got the Seaborn library. This was how we got the Seaborn library. If you do this, what this means is that plot the data using this for me, and I'm interested in wanting to see the cuisine types. And you can see, look at American cuisines are highest, followed by the Japanese. Even graphically, we can look at our data and data is talking to us. The data is talking to us. If we have serious things to do, especially by way of the service provider, the tech organization that is producing, that is putting the service, the man will pay more attention to Japanese cuisines, American, Italian, Chinese, and maybe less to these other ones, Vietnamese, the French and Spanish, because nothing is much. It's happening from there. And this is where people see the comparative advantage in business marketing. So you stand out. When you're making progress, people say, how is this man doing it? I've been a juju. Data is talking to people, somebody here. You know, and follow up. Look at that. Cost of the order. If you want to sample the cost of the orders and all that, you can see data. This is good symmetry. Then day of the week. Then sometimes they wanted to know of the data that they have, what part of the week do they do more volume? They realized that they were doing more volume in terms of count of orders. They were getting over the weekend far more orders than all the weekdays put together. Gifts, what do you think? What do you think, Gift?
Yes, sir.
You know, so this is to say your data will actually expose a lot. So you can now imagine that over the weekend, you don't risk putting more resource there so that you can actually maximize your revenue over the weekend. In fact, just for 2 days of the weekend, they do far more than Monday to Friday. It's the data that is speaking, and so on. Now, okay, this is how people rated. People who did not rate, which of course the data, we saw the data the last time, but we can actually chart them. People who did not rate, a lot of people, like I said, they're just hungry. They just needed the service. But some people actually would enjoy the service and rate. And as you can see, very many people were very impressed. Look at excellent, next, and just good. But nobody observed a poor service, meaning that the entire thing is well, and you can even be improving more in different ways. You know, because you still have a large chunk of people to try to get more survey from. Who knows? People here may not be satisfied, but like we said, they were just hungry. So we can still extend certain additional research and make sure that you try and test their pulse to hear from them in future. Okay? Food preparation time. How long did it take? You can chat. All those chats will come up. You know? Yes. All those chats will come up. The food preparation time, how long did it take them? The delivery time too. This is how customers rated, because the time they were getting those things were real, and they were on real time, booking the order, taking the delivery, and all those things were happening with digital precisions. You know? So dfrestaurant.com, that is, if you look at this, get top 5 restaurant with the highest number of orders. So, of course, our Shake Shack, topmost, followed by the Meatball and the others. And this is top most. And you can begin to do some planning with these ones and leave the rest of the markets, particularly because these ones, you do more with them. As a marketer, as a strategist, you know, observations. The top 5 restaurants that have received the highest number of orders. This, okay? Almost 33% of the orders in the data set are from this restaurant. So why would I want to waste my time with those ones from Vietnamese and France and Spanish? You know, so and what are we doing? These are very private resource to you. And that is why I stressed on the capability that you may have on this area going forward. And when you say artificial intelligence, please, these are the basics. These are the basics. Okay? Now, what percentage of orders cost more than $20? You may want to just know. Some of the orders, how many of them cost more than that? And they just put up something here. Remember that DF was where they stored the data. Then the field, there was actually one of the data sets, the field of the data sets that contained the cost of the order. So it's not programming at all. That field now, anything that is greater than 20 based on the question is why this is. And the system will be able to use this and extract all those and put the result in this. So by the time we now come here, you can now say, print the result. The result would have been kept inside this name. So we now say print the number of total orders that cost above $20. And the system will just print this dot shape. Remember, dot shape will tell you the number of rows in a data set. And from what is here, the result that they got was that the number of total orders that cost above $20, they got it at 555. Then percentage of orders above this was about 29%. 0.34. That was why they said that it was about 30% of others, you know? So what is the mean? That is taking an average. Same way. And look at a lot more interesting things. If you are someone that likes, understands histograms and all these charts, you know, if you understand histograms, you get to see that these things goes a long way to help. Look at the Vietnamese. Where is that American? Look at the American. Look at the Indian. And when you see things like this that are outside the main objects, these ones are called outliers because of the kind of data. Their data are like outside the norm and they are few. They may pose some irrelevance, that they are not important. But guess what? Sometimes they may even reflect an error in the data. They might reflect an error in the data. So outliers are also good a consideration. And that is why sometimes you also manage, you have to manage outliers within the data. Now, cuisine versus food preparation time, that is each of these restaurants and what time it has taken them. And we can get a report and observation express to say that food preparation time is very consistent for most of the cuisines. And that is why many people were happy. If you remember, they give them 5/5 and followed by 4/5 and of course 3. So there were really no poor service observed from that data. Day of the week and that, we also saw here that the delivery time for all orders over the weekends is less compared to that of the weekdays. Maybe because of traffic, you know, and all that. Certain considerations could lead to that. This could be due to dip in traffic over the weekends. Over the weekends, not too many people are going to work. The roads are freer and things like that. That's the expectation anyway. And this is common all over the world. Revenue generated by restaurant. Can you imagine? Revenue generated by restaurant. So evidently, Shake Shack would obviously be topmost because of the way they've performed. Meatball shop also coming next, and so on and so forth. So this food market or food ecosystem, this particular food ecosystem seems to be very good. Though there are many, but few of them are a very good representation of the entire ecosystem and they're performing well. So the above 14 restaurants are generating more than $500 revenues. You see, and many more. Now, you now get to these places where data can now be relating with one another. You know, look at, you can now begin to look at this cost of order against, cost of order against itself. You have one, but cost of order against food preparation time, that's 0.04. It's still positive. Then, if you look at food preparation time against itself, it will always be 1.1, or that will always be 1, the correlation. So that's why you have 1 across like that. But then the other ones, like look at cost of order against delivery time, negative, whether it's negatively correlated or positively correlated and things like that. You know, so we now realize that here there is no correlation between cost of order and delivery time and food preparation time. But they are not. There's no correlation. So a lot more. This is a complete notebook. And please, the mathematics you see here are just simple, something divided by this, something multiplied by this, and so on. And they are very simple. But guess what? Conclusions and recommendation. Let's look at it. Towards the conclusion and recommendation, they said, what are your conclusions from the analysis? Because most of the time you'll be doing this job as a consultant to an organization somewhere. And you have to show that your work is transparent, your work is data-driven, and the insights are reliable. Okay? What recommendations would you like to share to help improve this business? You can use cuisine type, feedback ratings to drive your business recommendations. Now, the conclusions that were taken from in this, for instance, is that around 80% of the orders are from American, Japanese, Italian, and Chinese cuisines. Thus, it seems that these cuisines are quite popular among customers of tongue roller foods. Shake Shack is the most popular restaurant that has received the highest number of orders. So as a data analyst, making your final recommendations, you are feeling proud because you are speaking to the result of your data. You understand? Order volumes increase on the weekends compared to the weekdays. Yes, we saw that. Then delivery time over the weekends is less compared to that of the weekdays. And we said it might be because over the weekend, traffic is deep and so on. Then what are the business recommendations? And this is where the power of your consultancy is. This is where the power of your consultancy is. Tongue rollers should integrate with restaurants serving American, Japanese, Italian, Chinese cuisines, as these cuisines are very popular among tongue rollers customers. Tongue roller foods should provide promotional offers. Please take note. These are now the marketing ingenuity in you, that offers top-rated popular restaurants like Shake Shack that serve most of the orders. As the order volume is high during the weekends, more delivery persons should be employed during the weekends to ensure timely delivery of the order. Don't forget that because there's more business over the weekend, even sometimes those bike people that go for delivery, you may need to give them incentive so that they don't say because it's a weekend, they have cultural bias, this, whatever, I'm going to church, there'll be no bike available. But guess what? They have business to do. But if you provide some incentive, who knows? You have more of them who want to be on the road for their monies than say they want to go to church and all that. No, this is just by the way anyway. Now, customer rating is a very important factor to gauge customer satisfaction. So how have people gauged your services? The company should investigate the reason behind low count of ratings, if at all. They can redesign the rating page in the app and make it more interactive to lure the customers to rate the order. If you look at this particular case, a lot of people did not even offer to rate the service, which may not tell well, which may not be too okay for them. Around 11% of the total orders have more than 16 minutes of total delivery time. Now, tongue rollers food should try to minimize such instances in order to avoid customer dissatisfaction. They can provide some reward to punctual delivery persons. Now, I will just stop here. And please, let's just discuss it a bit. How, in a real life, where have you seen this? In a real life, let me just go back to gifting. Now, in a real life, what have you been doing before now without this direction? Can you share with me?
Okay, I've been into the baking industry though. I've been into the baking industry. I've been baking for quite some time before I decided to do digital marketing.
So, do you find this relevant in that sector?
Yes, very, very relevant.
So you can begin to pick your building blocks and situate your data to mimic what you can drive out. And you can now begin to make some sense out of a lot of things. That's just it. Desmond, what's your own area?
Marketing.
Oh, also marketing. Oh,
Yes.
it's only me that don't know how to market. It's only me. Of course, we have products, but we don't know how to market. But this is why some of us have to go down to look at things like this. And though we preach it, we talk about it, my kind of work may not be the type we just get on. But then, of course, it does help in many areas by way of marketing. Even if I don't use in marketing, it could be relevant in other areas. But as you can see, Desmond, how could you give me what's general description? Just give us a general description of what we've just been through now. You are muted.
Okay, so from the data we've been through right now, and then the conclusion we've gotten, if okay, so this will be able to let a business decide on the things to move on with, the things to cut off. So with the days of the weekend and the from weekdays and the weekends, it will actually tell the company to put most of their resources on weekends, because that's where they sell the most. And then with the food they sell to, if some particular food is not selling, they can move to the one which is selling most, which is the American cuisines and then the Mexican cuisines.
That's right. That's right. You know, the whole idea is that after all this, because the next topic, which I don't know whether I should continue now, or what do you think, Gifting? You are deputy head of house. What do we do? Because I wanted to start my introduction to project management right away, because even today, we are planned for 2 hours and people are not here. And it is just important because this program will be ending next month and we may not have enough time anymore. What do you think?
Unless you were asking if we should move ahead with what we have today.
Yes, please. Yes.
I think we can just move it to next time because we're just very few. I think just me and
Okay. And please, between yourself and the head of house, please try work on this because it's not too okay. I mean, if we can slave to put these times together and we're here, I particularly don't usually like this, and it doesn't really, for me, create an attraction. As somebody somewhere is serious about something, and when they ask you whether you were party, almost everybody want to say they were party, and you wouldn't want to say otherwise. But then I think it's about what each and everybody wants. And look at the kind of content we've just been through in the last hour. I don't see any reason why. One, of course, you can't be proud that we know it all. Nobody knows it all. Even for me, I'm still learning too. You know, and if you, as you can see, it's about you doing something. It's actually about you actually lay on your hand or something. And if you think it's irrelevant, then why are you there? Why are you bothered even joining here? You understand what I'm saying? And this thing is not, you don't get this on a platter of gold. Don't just take it on a platter. You know, that's easily that way. And I think people really need to know what their onion is and what they want, particularly for the program, because I'm very, very, very not comfortable and happy about this, actually. All right. Okay, so we waive because the next position was to say that, like in this particular case study, you would have perhaps seen how the area of project management, you know, where it takes its footing, because when you are as an organization, you don't work alone. You work with different stakeholders, work with different stakeholders. And the project management now involves you making sure that when you embark on something, you do not fail. Because things fail when not properly planned. And that is where the arm of project management is very key. Okay, so we will actually postpone that till another time. And let me see, the next weekend, I'll be hosting some Northern National Association of Northern Nigerian Students wrote me, and I gave them second, which is next weekend. And I wouldn't know whether this weekend can be combined with this class, and that's another thing. I would like them to confirm first so I can know what to work. The National Association of Northern Students were almost saying that they want to come to Lagos to see me, but we have agreed to have a webinar for the Northern students, because I just did one for about 13 African countries recently. Some of you didn't even attend. I'm sure you saw the information, but probably you felt it wasn't relevant and useful. But then that was even a bilingual, it was both in English and French for about 13 African countries. And it was meant for undergraduates across tertiary institutions in this location. So which the videos are also online. We'll see how that goes, but please, between yourself and head of house, try conclude, and let me have a feedback, Gifty. Thank you, Desmond. All the best. Have a nice week.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So what do I do? Because I may not, if I send that notebook to people who were not in this class, they may not understand Jack. They won't get it. They won't understand, and they will even just make a mess of the file and not even know that how relevant or important it could be. What do you think? To the deputy head of house again.
I think you can still send it to the group, but it will just only be relevant to Desmond and I. But then they can't actually.
I think I'll share this with you, and you can manage it later. You understand?
Okay, sir.
All right. Because I'm sure they won't just understand. You know what the notebook looks now. It doesn't make sense. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All the best.